All right, Mark. I know I'm preaching too much. Mark 11. Mark 11. So this is same story again, but I'm going to change it up a little bit here. Because when I was going over this sermon last night, some verses stuck out to me that I had not seen until last night. And then I checked Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and I discovered that these verses you will only find in Mark. Okay? They're not in Matthew. It's not mentioned in Matthew. It's not mentioned in Mark or Luke, and not mentioned in the Gospel of John. Just here in Mark. So, verse 15, Mark 11:15. On reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple courts and began driving out those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves, and would not allow anyone to carry merchandise through the temple courts. And he taught them. He said, is it not written, my house will be called the house of prayer for all nations? Oh, there's a clue. But we're not going to discuss that next week. But you have made it a den of robbers. That's where originally I ended the passage until yesterday. And then the Lord said to me, read the next couple of verses. Only found in Mark. The chief priest and the teachers of the law heard this, and they began looking for a way to assassinate him. For they feared him, because the whole crowd was amazed at his teaching. Can you believe this? We are talking about religious people. And they see the crowd following Jesus. They hear the amazing teaching coming from the Son of God. And they were afraid. They were fearful. It does remind me, I know we are in a very divided nation, and it reminds me of the fear that each side has towards the other side. The fear. Now, Christians, come with me to 1 John chapter 3. That's a book like right before Revelation. So it's going to be near the end of the Bible. 1 John chapter 3. It's amazing sometimes how spiritual people think they're doing the will of God by assassinating someone. The chief priests and the teachers of the law, I guess they were like, we're losing control. We could lose our jobs. We could, we got to eliminate this guy. 1 John chapter 3, verse 11. For this is a message you have heard from the very beginning. We should what? Love one another. Now, is that okay to love the people, of course, that love me? Or is it okay if I hate my enemies? What do you say? What does Jesus tell us? We have to love who? Everyone. Okay? Believers, let me remind you, the Bible says, thou shalt not murder. I don't care if they're your friend or your enemy. You are to love. You are called. It's a message that the Lord has given from the beginning. To love one another. Do not, verse 12, do not be like Cain. Do not be like certain people who belong to the evil one and murdered his brother. I can't believe there are people, unfortunately, there are people that are used by the evil one, Satan, to murder others. It's just sickening to me. I'm glad President Trump did, survive, but I'm sick to think someone else died. And there's 2 other people that are severely injured. It's sickening to me that the young people of today, if you've read any studies, the young people today in high school and college are under more stress than they ever have been because of what's going on in the world. They're under stress about all the wars taking place. They're not used to that. They're under stress because of COVID and a disease that's shut down the nation. And they're under stress because of the economy. They're under stress with all the political hatred going on. And all we needed now was because the kids of today have never experienced what those of us that are older, when we experienced the assassination of President Kennedy or the shooting of President Reagan, they have not experienced, and lots of kids. So there was at least 20 to 25 people from our church at that rally, including lots of kids. And I'm like, wonderful. These kids all got to experience firsthand how evil people can be under the control of the enemy and are fleeing for their lives and falling and praying and crying. And you should hear all the stories. I'm like, great. Just what the young generation needs to see. To watch a country that's like, we got to get our act together. The church needs to. So why did he murder him? Why were his actions evil and his brothers were? Wait, let me back up. Verse 12, do not be like Cain, who belonged to the evil one and murdered his brothers. And why did he murder him? Because his own actions were evil and his brothers were righteous.